guys are leaders, right? What about KGO? Why is that? It's not about whether we support his cause or anything, right?
It's like he tells you are the leader. I'm not the leader, you are the leader. You are the one who makes it.
He makes other people the leader. Okay? Connects with the crowd. So, we're not talking about that. As a leader, okay.
Yeah, so you connect with your whoever.
He connects with people, right? On a certain, on what? On an issue that everyone cares about. So he has a cause that everyone cares about. What else? Anything else? He works with the youth.
What will I say? I have no idea.
Focus now. See, that way there will be a lot of things. Okay, we're talking about, it's not like one thing he does, right? He uses Twitter, he uses it, not that. Open to new ideas. Yes. Very accessible. Okay, is it still accessible? We don't know, but that image is there, right? Is accessible.
What all did we get, Ramanand? Sorry, I blanked out. What all did we get as qualities of Kejriwal?
They will tell you, they are telling you.
No, what all did we get so far?
What did we get?
We got open-mindedness, then we got connects with the crowd, and then he.
Why does he connect with the crowd?
Because for a common cause.
He doesn't the crowd to common any.
So it's a bit, I mean, you can see a bit of the Hitler there, right? Which is corruption.
Sir, don't ruin my model. There are a few things I want to share. So, there is something about Hitler and Kejriwal I'll connect back.
No, sir. They said something very important. They said that he makes the crowd feel, he tells the crowd that you are the leader.
He creates other leaders. He
It's a great point. Who said that? Who said
I
that?
think Yash.
Right?
Naivety and infancy.
Sorry? Naivety. So, there is I am one of you kind of event, right? So, yes, naivety and inexperience attached to that.
What about his fashion sense?
It's
Tries to project himself as
one
a
of the crowd.
Yeah.
Okay, so to quickly wrap up, again, like, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. We have seen one paradigm of leadership in Krishna, which is a very soft leadership, right? And we have seen the hardcore, very hard sort of a leadership, I'll call it hard for Hitler, right? His approach to leadership. Now, if you compare both of these things, it seems like totally different, right? In Kejriwal, you see a mix of these two approaches. Like people who work closely to him, they say that Kejriwal in his team. So when you see him on TV in front of media, he's all firebrand, right? Almost shouting, all passion, going like attacking people left, right, and center. Always doing firecracker stuff, right? But within his team, how does he feel? Okay. He never shouts at anyone. Like I have an interest, out of interest of his leadership model, I have been studying him. He never shouts at anyone. Okay. He is not a forceful leader within that team.
Ramanand, please circulate this. This is the greatest image of Kejriwal that she should just share.
Okay.
Just circulate.
Okay. So this, what else? He is a person who actually within his team, if you do not do the work or you do not meet his expectation, all he says is let me do it. I'll do it myself. Leave it. That's all. Okay. Now there you find another model, very important model of leadership. Okay. How you project yourself to the outside world with the passion, with the fire, right? Within the team, if you do the same model happen, what is the benefit of this, right? You see, because you have to work with the people, right? You have to build up your team, right? You have to build an efficient organization and institution around you, right?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Could you guilt people into doing?
Could you?
Could you guilt people into doing work?
Guilt?
Yeah.
Or you mean get them on a guilt trip?
Yeah. Is that a good model? Is it?
Again,
It could be good.
go back to some people work well on guilt, some people work very badly on it. So there are occasions where you can get them if they've got a very strong conscience and they will not crumble under the guilt, you can trigger them. But again, that's, like I said, go back to psychology, you need to understand people and then.
Okay, so coming back, that's an interesting question, right? There are certain persuasion methods you can use, like holding people to their promise. Guilt is quite powerful, yes, but it depends on, as I said, right? But it's not all, you cannot do everything all the time. But there are certain persuasion methods, there are certain basic things, we all know it. We know how to persuade people. Again, go back. You want a cycle from your mom and dad. What did you say? It's as basic as that. Okay, whenever you cannot find a way to persuade, look back and imagine from your life when you successfully persuaded someone and you find your answers. I don't want to go into that today much right now because I want to discuss some of your specific problems right after this. What I wanted to say about Kejriwal is that within his team, he's a very efficient team builder. He gets, he can get people to come and join his cause, and he can get all different sorts of people, right? Different sorts of people with absolutely different kind of interests, absolutely different kind of affiliations, comes and work with him under the same umbrella. Of course, there are fights also happening now, but overall he has executed really well so far. That's why he managed to do, his party managed to do so well in the Delhi election. So what we are looking at is a leadership where what the leadership personality project to the rest of the world need not be a firebrand leadership within your team. Within your team, you are the person, you are the Krishna. Out to the outside world, you might be the hero. That's what we learned from Kejriwal. Okay. Now,
just one point. I want to just swing back, because it connects back with something that you mentioned about one of your team members, right? So, one of the issues that was brought up was that the team members feel that it is that the work that's being doled out, when you dole out work within your team as a leader, that it's too regimented and that it's too not exciting. You have to also tell people that when you give them a specific task or something, you have to first engage them so that they get a sense that they also own this. So tell them that, hey, this is a cool idea, what do you guys think? Should we be doing this? And then you get a lot of ideas, then formulate it and then have people pick up the task. That's much more meaningful for them rather than you in a top-down approach saying, I want you to do this. So if you think that, let's assume you're the research team and you think that call it in 10 years from now your agendas, I want to advocate the cause as a leader that in 10 years from now I want all law schools to grant fee waivers. And you need to start now. So what are the means and mechanisms I would put in place? Right? That you throw open to your team and say, hey, how should we go about this? What are the various things we can do? So one guy will pop up and say, like I think Shobik or someone, when we had a brainstorming session, they recommended and said, why don't we write the CJI? The CJI is the chancellor of almost every national audience. If we write to the CJI and say, how can you say that you're faithful to the Constitution of India and teach inclusiveness and fairness and all of these things when you don't admit poor students? Strong letter from the CJI to all law schools, great agenda, right? It's a fantastic strategy. So like that, 10 if you get out of your team, and then get people to pay. Why don't you draft a letter to CJI? Why don't you start talking to law firms and law firm partners that have jobs, that create jobs for these law schools? Let them speak to the vice chancellors. So you make tasks, but you do it in a very, and I think it came out from his presentation to Kejriwal as well, that in many ways I want you to own. I want this to be about you. Right? And I want it to be a sort of crowdsourced or a more democratic, a more collaborative endeavor rather than a top-down approach. That hey, this will be really good. But you also need to make sure don't leave it too open-ended. I've seen people being excessively democratic, as a result of which nobody is sure what the end goal really is, what the answer is. Crystallize it. You must play the role. The biggest role of a lawyer, and this is something that perhaps has never been taught to you in law school, and it should be taught, especially during your legal methods and other courses, is that really the role of a lawyer, if you look at it, we're not making top-down laws at the end of the day. You're into law-making, policy-making. You're really drawing from different disciplines, and you're formulating something that in many ways is a compromise solution. Right? Lawyering really is about compromise solutions. Sometimes you can't get perfect solutions. You have to be a facilitator. That's what a lawyer really is. Can you facilitate different people, different viewpoints, synthesize it, and then have something concrete to go after. So you hear all these different viewpoints, you synthesize them, you come up with something concrete and meaningful that you can go after. So everyone's input is there, but you've given a concrete direction. That's your leadership. You've not said, 10 views, great meeting, let's go home. But nothing, it's wasted. Of course you generated ideas, but there's no follow-up action. And you saw bits of that, right? When we saw yesterday, you saw some of our powerful industry leaders. What did they do? They made comments, but they were also able to articulate after they drew it. You saw that in operation yesterday. That's a great skill. That's a skill of a leader. That you're able to draw in inputs, synthesize them, and then say this XYZ, can we all do this? And now let's plan the agenda. Let's plan the action. And you must do that, otherwise people I got a sense from some of the teams that they're bored because it's just implementation, it's just, what do you have to do? The other you have to tell them is, there is no task which does not admit of some proactivity, some out-of-the-box thinking. So for example, if the research team comes out and says, I want you. So Sandra as a team leader, she comes to Donnie and says, Donnie, do a diversity survey. So Donnie says, what is that? She says, they've done it last year, please do it. So Donnie says, okay, there are 5 indicators, I need to call students, make sure they fill up the, they come into one room and they keep taking the survey. Very boring. But at the same time, Donnie thinks, let me look at these questions. Why are we asking these questions? Maybe we need to ask 2 more questions. We are not capturing diversity in knowledge forms. We've not asked existing students if they faced any form of discrimination. We've not asked that. We've only said which background do you come from, blah blah. We've not asked them, how has your law school been so far? That's a great question to ask. In fact, in our first diversity survey, we didn't have it. So every task that you do, and you must communicate to your team that you want their suggestions. And that whatever you give them as a task, they can still, it's not a complete given. They can still improvise on it. They can change the parameters a little bit after talking to you, of course. They can come back and say, can we add these 2 questions to the dev? Because then, they're actually being stimulated. They're thinking. They're not just robots implementing. You see what I mean? Every part of your process must involve implementation, plus critical thinking, analysis, proactive approach, creativity, everything should be built in. And you can engineer that throughout your process. So it becomes fun for everyone, right?
Sir, usually we engage suggestions and everything, but what happens is that sometimes our deadlines are too close, we are not able to do it. And even if we open it up for a suggestion, I receive very few suggestions at all. Some of them they're like, okay, this is the job, and the worst thing.
No, sit them in a room. Make it like, see, look at how many beautiful suggestions came out of in Ramanuja's session.
I work in the vertical. I have my team members in 6 different law schools. I cannot sit them and I asked them, can we have a monthly Skype call? Everyone said no.
Oh, they're not?
They said no. I can show you the thread. They said no. We will not be available at this time. Or the Skype wouldn't work. The network wouldn't work. So it's like, okay, I said,
why don't we just do a simple doodle form and find a time convenient every month for everyone? I refuse to believe that you can't find a 1-hour slot in a month to speak.
I'll show it to you. And then I said, okay, fine. Then I sent out the thread. You just reply to the mail thread whenever you have the time to. None of the mails came. And then again, I have to admit that I have been busy with the conference. I had other work to do. But yeah, this happened.
Do you think it will make sense if we can fund your meeting once every 2 months? Verticals, and I know you have an issue, if we can give you the funds to meet up in one place, once in every 2 months, will that help?
So attendance will be an issue again.
No, you do it in such a way that either it's in the holidays for people, if you're going into internships, take 2 days off, plan it ahead. Again, I think, if you want to look for bottlenecks, there are enough bottlenecks. If you want to look for solutions, you'll find them. So if Skype is a problem because you can't agree on a time because you told them what time, that's one thing. But telling them that I'm giving you 6 options, now tell me which one and let's all speak. That's very different. See, you can throw open different approaches to get people on board.
I told them a date time between 12, from the 12th to the 15th. I said any time in the evening, all of us will be free. One guy from NLS came with the exams.
No, at least have a majority come in. You don't need everyone on the Skype call. How many
I just have 6 members.
Yeah, so I have at least 3 on the Skype call. Sandra, if you can't get 3 on a Skype call, we need to seriously chat. You can't get 3 members of your team on a Skype call. Has anyone else faced this problem that you're not able to get at least half of your quorum on a meeting or on a call? Because this is less intensive than a meeting. It's just a Skype call. Is it because people don't have access to Skype?
In that case, we have found that Google Hangout works better. At least that will be available to every single college.
Or we'll open a conference line and leave it for you.
Yeah.
If that's the case,
What is
we'll
the
leave a plain conference call facility, dial-up. I'll give you a dial-up number. Just all of you dial-up.
Here's what I'm going to do, Sandra. We're going to test you on leadership skills. In a month from now, if you come back and tell me we agreed on a Skype call, we're doing it every month, you figure out how to do it.
Definitely.
Don't come to us and say, I can't do the call. Come to us and say, I can't do the call, but I'm going to find a way. That's leadership.
No, so I did not get time to take up on it, but it just happened 2 weeks before the conference. But what happened is I'm just telling you, I'm just telling the difficulties also. I know that you would have worked better on it. I know that there are 100 different ways to do
But
it.
not only do you do it in that different way, you also share it. Say that, hey guys, this was a problem my chapter faced, this is how I handled it. I think that learning would be great for everyone. And that's it. It should be a collaborative learning process as well, right? Sorry Ram, I hijacked a lot of it. Yeah, please.
Actually, this is what actually we'll be doing now. So, going forward, so this is just one thing I want to tell all of you. I think all of you till now really did not see yourselves as leaders. How many of you actually thought, when I asked you, are you a leader, you said I am a team leader. Okay? But you actually have to take the lead here. Okay? It comes with the job, right? You're capable of being a leader, you have to take the leadership. And what does a leader do? What is the difference between, say, a volunteer or an employee and a leader? A leader has a cause, you have a cause. Okay? And you have a cause, and it's a very powerful cause. You solve problems. Okay? No one promised you that there will not be any problems. Anyone promised you when you joined IDA? I don't think so. There are going to be problems. There are going to be hundreds of problems. But that's why you are there. You are a leader. You are going to walk into chaos and solve everything and make it happen. Right? See yourself that way. And it is not, no one is going to tell. A leader does not hear what has to be done from another person. Of course, what has to be done comes to you. And you get it done, you solve the problem. But it's not just that. You know, it's not that you have a job description. Oh, I have a part of IDIA. I'll write it in my CV somewhere. That I work with IDIA. If you go with that mindset, you'll never be a leader. You might as well give up. It is nothing compared to what you can do when you say that I'm a leader. It's an insanely powerful idea. It's an insanely powerful concept for you to drastically improve. The things you can achieve when you decide to be a leader is insane, and that cannot happen if you start thinking that this is my job description, this is what I'm going to do, this is the few hours I need to give to IDIA. That's not the idea. I'm not saying work insane hours. That's not the point. The mindset should be that I work for IDIA, I work for a cause. I don't have a job description, I have a cause. I do what it takes. I have my defined role, everything is good, but every opportunity. So I am like, you know, a consultant with IDIA. Sir wrote me an email, Ramu, you are a consultant. Okay, fine, great. What do? I do not have so much time that I will regularly get involved with you guys. I would love to. Actually, I keep asking sometimes, I meet Diptoshi, I ask how things are going. I try to help with whatever knowledge or resources I can, but there's something I do. Okay, every time I meet any person, if I think that this person might be able to somehow help IDIA, I drop a mail. Dipto, Shabnat sir, look at this. This might be useful. I do that because it's not my job description. Okay, but I know wherever, because it's on my mind. It's a cause I believe in, right? So no matter where I go, I will see if there's something IDIA can do with this, or if it will be beneficial. If I think, okay, maybe if I see a new technology, I think, okay, it may be beneficial for IDIA. I think, okay, how can the training be improved? And I keep talking, and there are some hurdles, we will overcome them and do a lot of things, but I know that I can contribute in some way. But no one has told me, no one comes and tells me that this is your job, let's do this, we have to do this. And that's a great, liberating thing also. I am not involved in day-to-day operations. That means I can think of what more can be done. Okay? You know, when I was IDIA volunteer, every city I go to for my work, for anything, for traveling, I'll drop by to the nearby colleges, and that's how a few chapters were started. In Rajasthan, for example, in NLU Jodhpur, NLU Delhi, there were chapters. Some people said, I will run IDIA in my college. Where is it? Where is it? What is happening? So if I'm visiting, I'll just drop by. Sir never told me that, go and do this. No one told me. Okay, but I care. I don't
And
know.
there's a huge difference between the first year's team and the subsequent teams. They were very proactive.
We felt that we didn't ask for permission to do good things, right? You guys should not either. You guys should not wait for a permission. That okay,
The number of proactive strategies that we're getting from the present teams is not. And I would encourage you to come up with your own formats, with your ideas, with more proactive approaches. you know, rather than just saying, okay, this is what the directors told us, this is what we're going to do. So it's all just a reporting mechanism. We'll do the bare minimum, and it's not going to keep you enthused. You're going to get bored. Your team is going to get bored. What's the point? But one life. Or even if you have multiple lives, you won't remember after.
And that's what we are talking about, right? Leadership. If you become a leader, everything changes. It just transforms. Okay, your job transforms. Okay, you are not there to run vertically. You're not just there to do a little bit of your work. You are there for a cause, and everything possible in your power, in your time, in your resources, you will do, right? Can I have a commitment from all of you? How many of you will do it? Hands up. Say with me, okay? I am a leader. I believe in a cause. I will make sure that this cause goes through and we are successful. As a team, I will collaborate with everyone. And I will take up leadership. Okay? Remember this. Okay, so now, from now on, you are leaders. Okay, I don't know when you came in, you were leaders or not. Maybe some of you were. But now on, I'm sure all of you are leaders. Okay? You will go back and you will solve problems, you will make things happen, right? You will make sure that those kids actually get the legal education that they deserve. Right? Okay, great. So now we actually want to do an exercise of what are the most I want you guys to bitch about ideas.
Do you have I mean, apart from the ideal team leader groups that all of us have, do you have an internal just between the team leaders? I would strongly suggest to create one. Because see, on the ideal team leader list, you may not want me to see something of one of your directors. Create a nice system between yourselves. Because when Sandra has a problem and says, I can't
teaching English and things like that. That is something I don't think we have yet tapped into.
So you
for example, Ramakrishna Mission is one excellent place, or even the British Council has
so
some,
you do outreach, okay, with other organizations, right? Okay, what about you?
I think
So Ashu, you're going to do that to West Bengal.
right?
Please.
the other law schools in the city, I agree with what Preeti said. The other local law schools could be also asked to join IDA.
That's what you can do? In which city?
Kochi.
Kochi.
Which one would you identify for Kochi?
CUSAT and even GLC. Both of them are.
Have you spoken? Has anyone spoken to local hospitals within there? And what has the response been?
It's been a good response. They're very interested in teaching our scholars, and we spoke with Riptadi also about it. The fact that when we're not there in city, our months.
Not just, if I may make a point,
Not just law schools,
but also engineering students, because they can't even perhaps legal reasoning, but English, maths, and
So please, right?
in fact,
Let's collaborate.
just today, the West Bengal team leader and I were discussing because about who is the next leader going to be and how to develop that. So he was of the opinion that under such certain circumstances, a non-NLU team leader may work. So I asked him, I mean, he has a few potential people in mind. I said, just induct them as members now. Let's see how they work in the next 3 months. Because there can be always a problem of non-NLU team leaders working with NLU members. There is a friction. So let's figure out how that works, and then if he works out, then we'll
And also, I mean, what is your sense of local law schools?
they are. So the state legal aid clinic is very interested in what we do, and till now the Odisha chapter couldn't collaborate with them because we didn't have enough lawyers people. But now I think we can take it a step further and have some collaboration with the government in the legal aid sector, especially because they go out to villages and sensitize about law and how they should seek the help of the judiciary. So maybe we can go on these sensitizations they carry out in the.
So you will collaborate. So you don't have to go on long. So you will collaborate with state legal aid society, right? Legal aid clinic, state legal aid clinic.
Please, in this source of this thing, since I am making the notes subsequently make the action items, please only say things which you think that you yourself can reasonably do, because Shayu, I believe you have about only 2 months left with law.
No, actually, the one who's taking over.
She has a call. She will do it. Whether she leaves or not, she will do it, right? That's what we are committing here, right?
Otherwise, Ramanuj is committing to come right at you back and take charge of it.
No, so I've discussed it with my team, so they are very interested.
Okay. So one thing I wanted to say that we discussed some ideas. You gave some things you can do outside your usual work. But I want you to remember that when you come up with a task, a project that you want to do, it's very important to have something called a shipping date. Okay, what is shipping date? is when you make it live to the world. Not start work on it, right? I'm not saying start work on it. Fix a date by which you want to make it live to the world. You want to share with the rest of the team, okay? Whenever you have your meetings, whenever you do this, make sure, whenever you generate new ideas, make sure there's a shipping date. And follow and stick to the shipping date. Maybe if a bad thing goes on a little here and there, maybe a little not perfect the way you like it, but perfection is a process. It's not, it's not like one threshold that you achieve in a day. But if you have a shipping date, respect the shipping date, make it live to the world, you will get feedback, you will learn a lot from that, and then you can go ahead and improve it, right? You can make it perfect as much as you like. But have a shipping date of every idea that you come up with. And this is not just for idea, generally in life as well. Very important. Okay. So I think I have already bypassed my time allocation by far. So I will leave it with you guys here.